Welcome back to Out of the Blue, the podcast, where real people share real stories of resilience, transformation, and the power of the human spirit. I'm your host, Vernon West, and joining me today is my son and co-host, Vernon West III, a gifted musician who created our logo and theme song. Today's guest is a man whose life reads like a movie, one filled with pain, purpose, and an incredible comeback. His name is Cenobio Rayos II, but in the music world, he's known as the Hare Trigga. Diagnosed with autism and ADHD at age 5, Cenobio struggled through addiction, homelessness, and deep personal loss. But through all of it, one thing kept him going: music. Rap became his lifeline, his anti-drug, and it led him from the streets to the studio and ultimately to sobriety. This past March, he celebrated 19 years clean. Today, he's collaborated with legends like Snoop Dogg, Stevie Stone, Lazy Bone, Bizarre, and the late DMX. And his highly anticipated album, Journey of My Darkness, dropped September 30th, 2025. His story is raw, real, and a powerful reminder that no matter how far you fall, redemption is always within reach. Let's welcome the Hare Trigga, Cenobio Rayos. Hi, Cenobio. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are
So,
you?
so great. Myself. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. And yeah. I mean, where we usually start is the first thing we ask is basically, what would you say is the out of the blue event that had it not happened, you would not be here today?
If I never got sober, none of this would be possible.
That's beautiful.
Um, I most definitely sobriety was definitely a cornerstone. I was going down such a dark road. I I had to do something. And the thing is, growing up, my father also struggled with his own sobriety, but he got sober off of heroin. And I remember him telling me about how he got clean and how important it was for him to set that example for us. He may not have been perfect, but he did do that much for me. And so when I started going down that same rabbit hole, and I noticed what heroin was, and it was I got tricked into doing it a couple times or whatever. I never really got addicted to it though, because that was the one thing my dad drilled in my head, was never get on that stuff. And that's when I realized where I was at was the bottom. That's when I realized, like, hey man, this this is taking over my life. And it's like I wasn't even in control. I just would go on autopilot and it just took over and the beast drove the bus. And it's like, at what point did I get to that, to where I no longer had that control? And that scared the shit out of
Wow. The moment of
me.
truth.
It did.
It was a moment of truth,
It
right?
scared me straight. It scared me to want to get straight.
Right.
I had tried a couple times on my own to get clean, you know, and I would go maybe a month, 2 months, relapse. Dang, what am I doing wrong? I started going to meetings, and it took me going ahead and checking myself into a rehab.
Hmm.
And I remember the intake worker saying, "Did you want outpatient or inpatient treatment?" I said, "If you give me outpatient treatment, I'm gonna go home and still do this stuff. The point is that I need to get off this stuff. You need to lock me up at a place where I can't do it. Give me a good honest shot. Give myself that honest shot. And it's crazy how sometimes when we're lost in our journeys, we stumble upon the greatest thought and never even realize it. We realize that we really are crying out for help. And that at some point it no longer band-aids or medicates that void. That void has become too big and too deep and shallow at the same time. And it's like that moment sometimes doesn't scare people straight. We have a lot of people who die from addiction every day.
It's true.
It's the sad truth of it, the nature of the beast. Some people only do it one time and end up dying. I'm very fortunate that that didn't happen to me. I never did overdose or anything like that. But it was the police. The police, I was in the backwoods and I was getting high. And this cop had his spotlight on me. And I realized I couldn't quit hitting that stupid pipe, even with the cop watching me. And that's when I realized, like, wow, this is really taking over.
Right.
You know, I no longer had the power of my own choice over my own body. And it made me feel violated in a way, you know, like self-violated. Like, how could I let myself down like that? And I just remember praying. And I'm just like, God, please help. God, please help me. But I know going to jail isn't going to help me. It's going to hurt me in this case. And that cop went one way. I ran the other. And I went to my mom's house. And at first, I was just trying to get more money to get high. And she had a police scanner. She knew the police were looking for me. They knew who I was and everything. And I'm just like, man. So she just kind of was just watching me, you know? And then she just was saying the right things to make me realize she already knew the truth. And there was nothing left for me to do but admit it. And I had to admit to myself that my life had become unmanageable, completely wrecked. And that I had no power not only over the substance, but over myself. Because, like I said, she had had a year sober,
Right.
around a year sober. I remember that. And so she had been working the steps. So she knew how it worked. And so she was able to influence me in a way that allowed me to admit my own powerlessness. And once I did that, I hit my knees. I cried out to God with tears in my eyes and everything. And I realized that I had hit that bottom, you know, and good thing my parents taught me against drugs and all that at a young age, because that's what it all goes back to, is our childhood, our roots, believe it or not. And in that moment, I was centered in that moment. And I realized it was now or never. And that's where I believe that miracles stem from, is when we align our consciousness, our spirituality, and our mindset into the present moment. That is when we begin to step out of darkness.
I love that's being here now. That's what that is.
The here and now. There's a book by Eckhart Tolle
Yep.
called
The,
The
na-
Power of Now.
I read it
And
every night.
man, it's a good book.
I
Have you
love it.
read it?
I read it every night. I have it on Audible.
Heck yeah.
I go to
Yes,
bed listening
sir.
to it.
Yeah, me too.
I think self-help books are another great way. You know, they're free audiobooks on YouTube too.
That's right.
You can get audiobooks if you need to, if you can't get to a library. If you know, are like me and I'm dyslexic and, you know, reading just, I don't comprehend it. But if it's on an audiobook,
Me
it's
too.
good.
And I'm not dyslexic, but
Yeah.
I just
You know,
I just fall asleep when I'm reading. It's really terrible.
that's how I get too. Yeah. I'll fall asleep. Sometimes I gotta reread it
Yep.
several times
I'll
before I
read
can
the same
understand.
page for an hour.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. That's where I'm like, I'd rather just listen to it, because when somebody talks, I receive the information better. I'm able to process it better. And that has to go back to my autism, you know. And the thing with that is like, that's why I'm in this field. That's why I'm like, I got to be a musician, because I know there are others out there just like me who maybe can't get that information through a book. You know, they have to have lived it to feel this, you know, and those are my people. Those are the people I'm reaching out to today, and I'm hoping to help influence and impact their lives, whether they're still in that dark place or not, you know. Whether people are Christian or not. I like the example of Jesus, and I'll leave it at that. Okay.
Right.
Um, the one thing that he did was he sat with the sinners, he sat with the drunkards, he sat with the whores. He went into that dark place to show you the way to the light. And
Yeah.
I feel that that is one thing that Journey in My Darkness really is about.
Cenobio, this is such a powerful story and very much needed for people to hear this. You could be helping somebody right now just by this, by talking about this stuff. Really, I mean, what a series of wonderful out of the blue events. Really, your mom got sober a year before and was already had a year end sobriety, and you come to her and she's right there. She knows you're ready, and she says she gets you the detox, and you're in the detox. Now from there you met this guy that really helped you. That's where we want to pick it up from there.
So his name is Lee, and he had 9 years clean off crack. And this guy, I mean, he dressed in the best suits and everything. And I even asked him, I said, how do you got money to do all that? And he said, I'm not giving my money to the dope man no more.
Yep.
You know? And one thing he would do, he'd wake us up at 6 o'clock every morning. We'd go up in front of the mirror, and he'd play that song by Michael Jackson called The Man in the Mirror.
Great
He made us
song.
study the lyrics of it. He made us, you know, write a paper on it of what it meant to us. And that's where I began really wanting to change my life. I really looked up to Michael Jackson as an artist, especially as a child. I learned how to do the moonwalk and everything, and I used to dance for people and everything. Whether it be singing in church, whether it be dancing, entertaining is what I've wanted to do my whole life. I've just always had the niche for it. I kind of got it, like without it having to be talked to me about or taught. I mean, I learned music. I learned how to read music. I learned how to play instruments. But the thing with it was that just was part of my musical journey. And I realized that throughout my whole life, the one thing I always had was music. Music had a power over me that meant more to me than the demons from my addiction.
Amen. That's a beautiful thing right there. Wow.
And like, have you seen that movie Ray about Ray Charles's life?
Yes, of course. Yes, I love
You
Ray
know,
Charles.
I love that movie. I remember when his wife told him, Ray, they're gonna take away your music. You know, like, and musician to musician, that spoke to me. You know, even though I was already sober, even though I mean, man, I'm sitting there crying to this movie and everything because I felt that pain. I knew what it was like to detox. I knew what it was like to go through that. And I too did it without the help of any kind of medication. And that is something that not a lot of people do. But that goes back to my dad. My dad did it cold turkey like that too. And he told me the reason that he did it that way is because that's what always kept him from going back to it. So I was like, you know, and I'm not saying it's going to be like that for everybody. Everybody, you know, is different. But for me, that's what I did. And that's what it took for me to realize the nature of this beast, the reality of it by putting myself through that hell. Sometimes we have to walk back through the flames when we were welcomed through them the first time. You know what I mean? And it's not so welcoming when we leave.
That is some serious truth, really is. You have gotten sober now. You got your new sobriety. So I know one thing about sobriety is you get your feelings back, and that's the good thing. But it's also the bad thing. You get your feelings back. It's the bad stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You take something to no one, huh?
Yeah,
Yep.
You still got now you got to
Exactly.
feel shit, you know.
Yeah.
Now when stuff hurts,
Yeah, it's like, whoa,
yeah,
what a rush. Sobriety.
right. It's something else, man.
Here, hit this.
But you're taking all that, really, the pain, walking through the feelings that you have to get through to get that sobriety. So you friggin' earn it. You get that feeling that you earned your sobriety. You didn't take, methadone. You didn't go into taking whatever pills they can give you to ease it off. You went through it like your dad did. And I mean, that is some heavy, serious example, power example, I think they say. And that's a powerful example. Again, you're right about it. Not for everybody. Some people should use the methadone, whatever works for them, right? Get them off the shit. Get them off, get sober. And then you follow the steps, and the steps become um, they are the steps. You're not taking an elevator, you're not taking an
Yeah,
escalator.
don't take an elevator, right?
You got to
Yeah.
go up them steps, and you got to use your body and walk them up one at a time. So it's work.
You're gonna feel every step of it too.
Yeah, you can't go the second step
You
unless you
know?
really do that first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That first one is like the biggest one. It's like 20 feet high.
It does seem that way.
Why?
For me, in my sobriety, I have to practice the first step every daily, because if I don't remind myself of my powerlessness, then I start, this crazy mind of mine, because I do have, some part of this disease still runs around in my head. All it takes is me to start taking my power back, thinking I control things, thinking I can make them think that. I can, anything like that. And if I start doing that, I start circling the drain. It's not long before I'll be down that drain. So I can't,
Right.
I gotta remember to hold on to that powerlessness. That is, not only is it hard to do, but it's great to do. It takes a load off your mind, doesn't it? It takes a weight off of you when you realize that you don't have to. It's a disease. You can't control it. You can't control that beast. I heard someone say once that it's like making love to an elephant or a monster or something. It ain't over till the monster says it's over. You know,
Yeah, no shit. Yep. 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 And you're gonna get thrown off that elephant's back a couple times and stomped on and
you
kicked
know what I mean?
and
It's a long way down for the back of that elephant, and it hurts to get there.
Yep.
So I can't
Yep.
imagine what this must have done for your musical ambition and career. So you're now sober. Now, what did you start doing? Does that when you said that there's collaborations with people like Snoop Dogg and DMX and those
Not
people?
right away. I didn't know how to get into music at first, but I wanted to. So the first thing I would do is when like practicing my fourth step, I'd write it out, and anytime that I write, I rhyme. I just do. Um, it's something that, goes back to when I was in fourth grade. My teacher first taught me poetry because she said, "You are an incredible writer." She said, and I think that you have a knack for poetry. From there, I just could tell stories and make them rhyme. Even like poem forms that aren't supposed to rhyme, I'd still make them rhyme.
Why don't you give us one right now? What was your first one? Like, say, you must have one in your mind you could tell right now for us.
So the first one I ever really wrote, I was 16. And you want me to freestyle it?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
All right. I rode back from the county fair, smoking on my last square as I transformed back into a bear to approach my house. I went no more when I opened the door, I ran this mouse. So when I got back from getting a couple mouse traps from storage, I was sitting at the table unable to see any forage. In my living room was a stair, there was a broken chair. But I was tired and I had the munchies, so I said fucking and went upstairs. I'm looking for my Newport shorts in the box, and lying on my bed was Goldilocks. I thought for a second, I know that bitch from class, but she was butt naked, so
Okay, well, we might bleep that.
I mean, that's pretty appropriate for a 16-year-old, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll have to put a parental advisory on this episode.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just was funny stuff like that. But it would get me kicked out of school, right? For obvious reasons,
For
you know,
obvious
Yeah, sure.
reasons. Yeah.
too explicit for school. But man, my classmates and everybody loved it though. They'd be like, "Oh man, that's great stuff," you know. And they're like, "Why don't you write more?" And I never really did, you know. I was like, you know what I mean? Like it just has to come to me. And then I remember at my buddy Larry's 17th birthday, we were getting drunk, and he and he raps and he disses people, and he uses the same set of 8 bars for everybody. But one time, if he's gonna diss you, he'll put your name in it. He's gonna diss me, he'll put my name in it. And most people don't know how to rap, so you know it wasn't like they would just rap back. Well, because I had such, you know, because I knew how to rhyme words and stuff like that, I had already heard that this is what he does. And I remember asking the guy, hey, does he have any other rhymes than just that one? He goes, I've never heard him say any other one. So I thought, well, if we can get to a second round, we can see what this guy's made of. So I rapped back. You know, we were rapping over beats on the radio. And you know what I mean? And I just, man, I was owning this guy. I was talking about how, hey, man, I'm going to make you eat those words because that's all you got, you know? And I called his bluff. And sure enough, he choked the second round and I won. So from that moment right there, I was like, wow, like I think I really got a talent for this, you know, because I can come up with multiple different things from obviously a parody of Goldilocks and the Three Bears to
Yep.
whatever else, you know. And I would begin by freestyling and just trying to, you know, get the momentum going and play with words and stuff like that. Oh man, this is good. And just I just began to write. And I realized that I was limited on my vocabulary. So I actually became a security guard for an entertainment company called Starbright Entertainment there in Detroit. And while I was there, I got to meet a number of different upcoming artists, producers, things like that. And somebody was talking to me one time and they said, why don't you ever go to the studio? And I said, I don't really have the money to afford a studio. He goes, you know, you can go to school to learn music production. Now, mind you, this is fast forward to when I was sober.
Yep. Of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
When I was working
Yep.
for the entertainment company, I was about 3 years sober at this time. And he gave me a CD, and I looked on the back of it, and I seen he produced his own work, and I was impressed. I mean, man, the music was great, the songs, the lyrics. Like, oh my god, I was like, wow, I want to learn how to do this. He said, the thing is, if I'm going to teach you, it's going to cost you money. He goes, but the power of education, remember, knowledge is power. He said, if you go to school for it, you can learn to do it yourself. And if you learn to do it yourself, then you can charge people to do it. You don't got to pay in to do it. And I'm like, man, that is some really good advice. So I did. I went back to school. I wanted to get my high school diploma. And I started studying for my GED. And in 2011, I did just that. I went and I got my GED. My daughter was born that same year. And my ex-wife was pregnant with her. And I remember thinking to myself, back to my childhood, here my dad didn't even have a college education telling me to get an education. You know, it's kind of like him with a cigarette in his hand telling me not to smoke. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to follow monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
You know, at this point in my life, I thought this is a chance to kind of break a cycle here and be the first one of my mom's kids to go to college. And I scored high enough on my GED that I was accepted into Full Sail University for music production.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. One of the fruits of sobriety for sure. So you got it,
Yeah.
you came out of school. Now, what's going on next? When did you find yourself with someone like Snoop Dogg in the studio?
So it was a long journey. It was. I first began producing my own beats and realized I really didn't know what I was doing. And
Fake it till you make
but I
it.
was trying to put it out there on YouTube, stuff like that, just trying to get it out there. The first song I had flopped bad. I got laughed at. I got everything. So I got angry and I made the second one called Argumentative. And man, this one shut them all up. Okay. And I realized then that I had heavy influence and that people were listening, even if it's something that they didn't like hearing. They were affected by it. And that's when I learned that my words really have power. And I started to go from this artist who would just freestyle over beats to show my different vocabulary and my cadences and rhythm patterns, things like that, you know. And I finally got onto Wu-Tang Radio. And it was the song that was about my first battle. And it's called Gotta Be Famous.
Let's hear it.
I remember one bar was like, because the guy's name is Larry, right? And I was like, I remember telling Larry Pikachu, he took too many Pikachus. And those are they're actually a form of Molly or ecstasy. And so it's to say, hey man, you must have took one too many because, you know, here you are thinking that you stand a chance against me. And I remember another bar in there said something about, I hope you love alphabet soup because that's a lot of words to be eaten,
I love it. I love it. So, so let's go forward to today. We're getting kind of near our ending. So I want us to kind of get where you are now and set up your new coming album. That's your new album that's coming. So can you set that up for us? How's that come about? Like what's going on with that?
So fast forwarding to I took like a 4 year break between 2014 2018, and I released a single track called See No Evil, and it features Zach Johns, who is the cousin of Stevie Stone. Stevie Stone works with or worked at the time was with Strange Music, which is Tech Nine. Um, and so knowing that my music was being out there and getting heard by these guys, and they heard my verse and they go, "Wait, who is that?" And that was the first time I guess they ever looked at me, but I didn't know it until 2023 when I got to work with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, so that was only
Uh,
2 years ago. Yeah.
yeah.
So what was
So
that?
that was when Stevie did get that collaboration track with Snoop Dogg, and he had an open verse, and he had my buddy reach out to me and say, "Hey, you know that Stevie's my cousin, right?" I'm like, "No, I did not know that." But there are many times I've helped this man through different darknesses in his life. And it's because of that I guess Stevie decided, okay, that's the deciding factor. I most definitely want to work with this guy. And they asked me my price and what I would charge to be on that track. And that was the first time I ever really had been given a big offer like that. At this time, I had been working for Solomon Childs and Wu Tang for about a year and a half. I began doing that in 2022. He heard a song. The Worldwide Collaboration is a partner of mine, and one of their promoters showed him this song that I produced and wrote the lyrics to. I didn't perform the lyrics, but I wrote them. And Solomon Childs was deeply impressed, and that is when I put out my album Chess Moves. And that one has a lot of big features on it. Run DMC, uh, Solomon Childs himself, um, just King Crooked. King Crooked signed with Eminem, and it's just so crazy how it just kind of like happened overnight. It went from here I am independently working, just trying to build my name and brand and craft, to boom, here's somebody taking me under their wing and saying, hey, I see you. I see you're about sobriety. I see you're about this and that. And I love that.
I think that's a wonderful thing. Before we found now we brought you up to the present so that people could see this journey was amazing, and we're coming to this wonderful climax. And really this climax is only the beginning for you. It's just starting. So this new album you got coming out. Why don't we think of something? If you can think of even a one or two lines from the new album that we can leave our listeners with, something uplifting, something you can think of that you think would like project what you're saying, sobriety and all that.
In the song To Reunite is to my kids. And it is a clean cut song all the way through. It's even available on YouTube Kids. But I'm sitting there saying, I know your mom won't let you respond to my letters, so I'm sending you this song to let them know that I still love them, I miss them, I care about them. I definitely haven't forgotten them, because that is what it took for me to be able to crawl out of this dark place that I last was in. And that's what the song was talking about, is that I'm not going to stop until we reunite back together again.
Wow, I love it so much. Cenobio, you are such an inspiration. And I know their work is going to go on and keep that inspiration going. So maybe by the time we air this, we can maybe put a link to anything at the end for people can download, buy, whatnot, because you should. I mean, this is some really powerful stuff. If you're listening, just thank you so much for joining us today, Cenobio. And you're in the Out of the Blue family, so you're going to be hearing from us again and again and again. You probably get sick of us, but we will be back in touch, especially when we get ready to go live.
Thank you so much, man, for sharing your story. It's really beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
I gotta tell you,
I'm glad you are where you are now.
Me too. And like he said, it's just the beginning. From here, I'm still going up, man. God isn't finished with me yet.
Awesome. What a great place to end. All right. Thank you so much, Cenobio. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this amazing episode of Out of the Blue with Cenobio Rayos, the Hare Trigga. And you got to get his new album coming out soon, and get his other album too while you're at it. And awesome to talk to you today. And so nice to meet you. And this is Vernon from Out of the Blue with my son, Vernon West III, on co-hosting, and the amazingly talented, amazingly gifted, profound, and great writer, Cenobio Hare Trigga Rayos. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Out of the Blue. See you again next time.
And there's a war inside, I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me.
Out of the Blue, the podcast. Hosted by me, Vernon West. Co-hosted by Vernon West III. Edited by Joe Gallo. Music and logo by Vernon West III. Have an Out of the Blue story of your own you'd like to share? Reach us at info@outoftheblue-thepodcast.org. Subscribe to Out of the Blue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And on our website, outoftheblue-thepodcast.org. You can also check us out on Patreon for exclusive content.
So if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. As morning awaits, will I open my eyes for one time, or will I be a victim of my own demise?
If there's a war inside, I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me. Oh God, He set me free, break off these chains, take away this dead weight. There's a war inside, I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me. Oh God, He set me free, break off these chains, and take away dead weight.
Got all these angels and demons and they digging on the same plate, battling in my brain, trying to let me down, but it feels like I'm going insane, trying to hold it to the ground as I'm feeding up myself, getting through it all. Never been a battle, but I'm still living in hell, trying to deal with it all. No one ever knew the cure, yet I'm here doing all these songs and now I must be overdone.
And there's a war inside, I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me. Oh God, he set me free, break all these chains, take away this dead weight. There's a war inside, I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me. Oh God, he set me free, break all these chains, and take away this dead weight. I'm dealing with these demons all the time, cause I got my mama on my mind, and the pain always makes me want to grind. From a 9 to 5, music is a job to me. It's the only reason why I shine on the beat. I'm not perfect, but believing it got me still working. I'm a hard worker, can't you see? I'm always dedicated to working, even when I'm hurting. I drink behind closed curtains, out of sight, out of mind. Have you ever heard the term before? Satan always try to make me go inside. I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me. Oh God, he set me free, break all these chains, take away this dead weight. There's a war inside, I don't know if I'm alright. I wonder why these demons and angels fighting over me. Oh God, he set me free, break all these chains, and take away this dead weight.